Okay guys, thanks very much indeed and welcome to my next video. And as promised, actually, this is a video where we're going to review the amazing user interface in the Tesla Model 3. This is part one of a four-part series on this particular, this subject matter, the screen, because it's such a vast piece of the equipment in the car that really I did do a sort of dry run of one video and it was something like an hour long, so I'm trying to cut it down into smaller pieces. So the one you're tuning into right now, we're going to do a quick overview of the screen itself. We're going to have a look at the info screen this side and also the top buttons along the top. And in video 2, which should be around in a few weeks time, or if it is now, I'll put a link up to it. We're going to review the sat-nav side of the screen and go through all the functions of the satellite navigation. And then in video 3, we're going to look at the main menu, which is the menu down here, which is the one you mostly go to for settings. So we'll review that in video 3. And in video 4, we're going to take a look at all of the buttons along the bottom of the screen. So let's have a little look then at the overall sort of view of the screen itself, first of all. I mean, firstly, as you can see, it's a very bright, vibrant screen. At the moment I've got the sat-nav side set to normal map. You can switch that to satellite view. And I'm sort of on the fence on this, whether I prefer satellite view or normal map. I must admit at the moment I'm hedging towards normal map, which might be a reason why maybe premium connectivity isn't such a needed thing. But anyway, let's have a look at the overall screen. So it's basically, it's split really into 2/3 and 1/3. And on the right hand side here for UK cars is all the sort of car information, if you like, and we're going to review that part in today's video. And also on the left hand side, as you look at it, is the satellite navigation, and it's a beautiful sort of nice large satellite navigation screen. Very smooth, based on Google Maps, so very much up to date. Includes traffic if you go for the premium connectivity, visualization of traffic. Traffic is included without premium connectivity as far as the navigation goes, as far as plotting courses goes, etc., and plotting routes rather goes. So and also on the satellite navigation you can get information about supercharging, but we jump ahead of ourselves because overall the screen is pretty well laid out. You've got some sort of user information at the top here. You've got your time and your outside temperature and whether the car is locked or not, and along the bottom here are a series of buttons which we'll cover in another video as well. So on the right hand side you can see you've got your sort of main driving information. It's the bit that you glance at probably the most while you're driving, although that being said, you don't tend to look at it a huge amount. Where the P is symbolized at the moment, because we're in park, you would see your speed, and we'll cut to a shot of me driving the car in a second. You'll see your speed there, and when you turn the car on you do get a series of lights come up here, showing the sort of status of the vehicle, usual checks. And you can see at the moment there's got a red symbol because I'm sat in the driver's seat without my seatbelt on. And so so this will change to the speedometer, and then you'll see a little indication along here as to whether you're in drive or park or neutral or reverse. And then on the right hand side at the top here you've got your range left in your car or your energy. You can, in settings, and we'll cover that in another video, change this from miles to percentage of battery charge. I sort of have been through both, and in the end I keep it on miles. It's not bang on accurate. It can be up to 20% out, and in fact I did a video on driving efficiency, and there's a card at the top if you want to view that. But I don't know, it just feels easier for me. There's more of a reference. I know that, Pontypool is 10 miles away and I can see how much range I've got. I don't know what percentage of my battery it would take me to get to Pontypool. So do you know what I mean? It sometimes feels easier to do it that way. But you have to bear in mind that it's not hugely accurate. And then underneath there you've got the name. Oh, by the way, I should add, if you touch that, it takes you to the charging screen. And on the charging screen you can set the charging level. You can see we've got 197 miles of range. It shows you rampage. It also shows you some information here on supercharger use. But yeah, touching that little part of the screen brings that up and also makes it disappear. Then slightly below that, you've got the name of the car there, and you've also got then the speed limit for the road that you're on. You've then got a view of the car. You can do some quick fire buttons here. You can press that one to open the front, press that one to open the trunk, or front boot as I like to call it, and rear boot as I like to call it. And then also the charge port, you can just hit the button there to open the charge port up as well. Underneath that, there's three sort of quick buttons, if you like, things that you might need to get to quickly. The first one of which is the rear view camera, so you hit that. I should point out, and we'll just double check this, actually I am on software 2020 2469, and under that software release, on the reversing cameras, you now get the two repeater views on the right and left hand side. You can pull that down to get rid of it, to go back to the old type view, but I must admit I quite like that. It gives you a bit more view around the vehicle as you're reversing, so that looks really good. And that's just that press of the button. You can even do that whilst you're driving to have a look through those views if you want to. Next to that is a charge button. If you hit that, you go back to that charging screen again, and get from there you can open the charge port if you wanted to start charging, set the limit, etc, etc, and tap that again just to get rid of it. And then on the right hand side you've got the microphone, and this is for the voice activation within the car. There is a huge amount of stuff that the car will do for voice activation. I'm just going to zoom out a second. For example, open the glove box, and there you go, glove box open. So there's a lot of things, you know, you can use it for radio, you can use it for well, virtually every function, turning the windscreen washer, the wipers on. So that's where you can do voice activation. You can also do that without having to touch the screen. You can do that just by pressing in the left mouse wheel, and you press that in and it opens up and you can just dictate the instruction that you want. And it's worth almost trying everything with this, because it really does operate virtually, well, a lot of the functions of the car. Brilliant for text messages as well. You know, when you have a text message come in, you can listen to the text message. You haven't got to touch nothing. Press that left scroll wheel on the steering wheel to dictate a response, and off it goes. So really useful. And then below that, you've got the windscreen wiper icon, which you can just touch and bring up the windscreen wiper panel, which you can then adjust the speed. There's 4 manual settings and also auto setting as well. I tend to keep it on auto. Auto in the past has been a bit hit and miss really, as far as how often, you know, do the wipers move at the right time. But certainly the last 2 updates, I think that's definitely improved. You can see just below there's also 3 little buttons which indicates there are other panels to be seen. So if you swipe to the one side, you come to the way you set your sort of tripometer, if you like, and there's a few options here too. I think there's 3 or could be 4. There's the lifetime one, and I've kept this as lifetime, and so you know it's the entire time I've had the car. 2,337 miles I've done in this car. I've used 574 kilowatts of energy, and I've averaged watt hours per mile. This is a really interesting one. Watt hours per mile is really like your miles per gallon in an old ICE car. 246, so 246 watts per hour to create 1 mile of distance, and I'd say that's pretty average. This is a standard range plus car. I have done a video on driving efficiency, which I mentioned earlier, which you can take a look at if you want to, where you can see if you want to try and make that a little better, you can actually affect that figure quite dramatically just by making some very small changes. But that's the lifetime of the car, and then you can also, if you want to, rename it, reset it as well if you want to, which I don't want to. And then if we go down, trip A is one that you can just use for a particular trip that you're doing, and this was a trip that we did over the weekend to Bath, so 135 miles, used 36 kilowatts of energy, 268, so I was a little bit heavy on the right foot, I guess, now and again. And then this is one since the last charge, which was yesterday at home, so not much data worth looking at there. But again, you can reset one if you want to, if you're doing a particular trip. It is handy to keep an eye on it without a doubt. So then if we swipe back to the other side, we go to the screen we had earlier and then go to the other side. Now, should be showing you, I haven't set it up yet since I inflated the tyres, but it should show you the tyre pressure along here as well. I've inflated my tyres recently, so I just need to reset that to show that, but that's where you see that. And that's pretty much that for that screen. Just want to review the buttons along the top of the main screen as well as part of this first video. Right across the top here, you've got most of the buttons there do something. So for example, the Bluetooth button, if you hit that, that brings up this Bluetooth page. And this is where you can sync your messages to your iPhone, add a new device if you wanted to, forget this device and disconnect from the Bluetooth. Next to that is the Wi-Fi. I'm currently connected, sat in my driveway, so I'm currently connected to the Wi-Fi. In here as well is where you can actually set up, if you set up a Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone, this is where you can connect to it. And again, I'm going to do a video on premium connectivity and whether it's worth having or not, because there's lots of debate around that, but anyway, that's for another day. So that's the Wi-Fi, and this is where if you want to go into settings and set up a new Wi-Fi, etc., and put passwords in. Next to that is the dash cam, and on the dash cam, this is where the car has 8 cameras pointing out, 1 pointing in, and so over the recent, I think it's probably a good few months ago now, they started using those cameras as a sort of built-in dash cam. Wasn't intended for that originally, but does give you really good facility as far as dash cam goes. To be able to use the dash cam, you do need to have a hard drive or a USB stick into one of the ports in the front of the car. I highly recommend, I've tried USB sticks, I would highly recommend the Samsung T5 SSD. It's a little bit dearer, but you can pick it up on Amazon for about 80 or 90 quid. And it's awesome because I've had no faults with that whatsoever. It's fast enough to pick up everything it needs to pick up. Also, it's so big, 500 gig. I've split mine, and I've got music on one side, a bit old, sort of own music, which is a bit of a rarity nowadays, but there we are. And I'll do a video on that at some point. So so all of those videos are stored there, but that's your dash cam, and you can hit that as you're driving along and save footage if an incident happens that you want to. It's always buffered in about 10 minutes of video, so if you decide to save it, then you'll save that 10 minutes, but it will indicate where the incident happened, i.e. where you pressed save. You can also activate to save dash cam footage by honking the horn, and there is a setting in the settings screen, which we'll go through on another video, where you can activate that. So if something happens in front of you, simply sound the horn, and that will tell the car to save that 10 minutes of looping video. But when you touch that, you can also go into the viewer, and we'll just have a quick look at the viewer. So this is the viewer itself. It's really cool. You've got the front camera, you've got all 4 cameras basically. You've got the right and left repeaters and the front and back cameras, and you can pick, and I'll pick a little video clip here which I've saved. You can see along the bottom here, this is what I talked about, the little red dot there, which is now a new addition. This hasn't been in, this is based on the last 2 software updates, I think. That now indicates where the incident happened. So on this particular occasion, a car comes past driving like a lunatic, and so I sort of hit the button on the screen to save it, and I'll see if I can just scrub forward. This is sometimes a bit temperamental, but here he goes. If we go to the right camera, you'll see him shoot past now, and then we'll go to the front camera. Here he comes, and then over to there, and he's just zigging and zagging through the traffic. What a nutter. Weirdly, I have actually looked back on that footage, and it is detailed enough if I pause the right hand side to read the number plate of the car. So that's basically the view, and you can flick as you're driving along. You can flick between any of these views. It's really responsive, really quick, and just a great bit of kit really. And you can also delete the footage, etc., all from this viewer, so it's really handy. What we're doing. Okay, next to that is Sentry Mode. Sentry Mode uses those same cameras again, but this time just to see if if when you're parked, somebody comes close to the vehicle, it'll start recording through those cameras, so you can see if anything happened. When you come back to your car, it will warn you if there's been a Sentry alarm triggered, and then you can view the video through the launcher, and actually pressing this activates it pressing it activates it or turns it off, and you can see the little, I don't know, you will be able to see it, but there's a little red dot in the middle saying it's on, and that's off there. And if we go back into the viewer, I think I might be able to show you. Yeah, there's one. Oh no, I don't think there's anything there. Oh, there might be. This is when we were parked in Bath the other day. Yeah, you can see just somebody coming back to the car, and they're all having a bit of a nose at the car as well, I think. And a little look around it. I haven't seen a Tesla before. So, well, there we are. Yeah, so that's how the sort of video works. And then next to that, and the Sentry works, next to that is your profile. So you hit that, and then you can see a list of all the people who've got profiles in this car, and you can go into driver profile settings to adjust that. And the profile really sets your sort of steering wheel position, seat position, your wing mirror position, your heating controls, and a whole bunch of settings. And so, you know, whenever you get into the vehicle, you can select the correct profile and everything will adjust to that person. I think you can also match it to the phone or the key that you're using, so it automatically does that, but in my case I tend to be the only one driving, or most of the time for sure. So then the big T there, if you hit that, that gives you some information on the car. It also tells you your current mileage, it tells you your VIN number, it also shows you the current software that you're on. It also gives you roadside assistance telephone number there, so you can click on that, and you can, you know, dial through if you need some assistance. Owner's manual is there as well, so you touch that, and no paper manuals with these cars. The owner manual is there available for you. You can search through it, and it's you know, set up into different sort of sections as well, so it's really in-depth manual there, so you can pretty much grab everything you want from there. So that's pretty much it for the top T. Then you've got the temperature control there, and your time, and then there's a padlock alongside, last thing to look at, padlock on the right, and that really is just indicating what the current status of the car is. Car is unlocked, hit that and the car is locked up. So that's how we do that. So that's pretty much it for this first video. I hope you found that interesting as an overview of the whole screen, the particular information on the right hand side, and that row of top buttons. Do subscribe and hit that bell button so that you'll be notified when I actually upload the remaining 3 videos in this series. The next one, which will be talking about the satellite navigation, and then the main setting menu, and then the bottom buttons along the bottom of the screen as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.